Hi everyone, Misilla here, Learn to Grow up in the Pacific Northwest, Zone 8B. So I am so excited because I am doing a garden tour for you guys, and I have been meaning to do this, just haven't found the time to do it. So we're going to cover the backyard garden, the south and southwest side. Also, I'm here in the miniature orchard, as well as the front yard. We're actually putting 2 garden beds where we're going to be planting some edibles as well. So we are expanding our garden even more. So let's take a walk and I'll have some tips along the way for you guys. So here's a view from the deck, and I'll go on the other side to the left so I can show you a better look. Got some plants in containers. If you guys don't have a yard, you can definitely grow in containers. Here are a couple of dwarf tomatoes. There's another one right there. Radish, peppers. I also interplanted or intercropped some lettuce, as well as garlic cloves for the greens. And this one and this here are hibiscus plants. Okay, now let's take a look down here. A couple of garden boxes, got some lettuces in there. I've got some red oak leaf, romaine, also have a few elephant garlic. And I interplanted or intercropped a few radishes about a month ago, harvested most of it, left a couple to go to seed. And on this bed are some spinach, companion planted with strawberries, shallots, and there are some volunteer elephant garlic in there as well. And little gardener's little garden bed full of carrot seedlings. Some stuff I'm regrowing. That's a fig tree. And more stuff I'm regrowing, and a pear tree that needs to be transplanted. Chicken run, potted plants, and here's the garden. Then we'll head down there. You can see all the herbs bordering the garden throughout. All the way here, I plant a lot of herbs. Love growing herbs, especially since a lot of them are perennials, so they come back every year. And they are low maintenance and also attract pollinators and repels insect pests. Here are some fig trees in pots. One more container. This is a 10-gallon container, and I have some garlic planted in there with some cilantro, and I believe these are bok choy seedlings. And here is a view of the miniature orchard. Oh, look, there's my tripod. Fire pit, rock garden to the right, and I believe this one is called mountain laurel tree. It's not edible, so it's not edible like the bay laurel tree or leaves. And little garden patch here of roses. I believe there's some daisies in there. Hydrangea, foxglove. So here is our front yard, and back there is the miniature orchard. So we have some flowers over here. Got some roses, iris, clematis, more roses, lots of weeds. This needs a lot of work. And I believe these ones are, delphinium. Trying to remember. So this is where we're going to put a couple of garden boxes, and we trimmed back this cedar tree. So let me go up here. So we're going to have, let's see, I think at least 12 feet long of garden space, and the garden boxes are about, I believe, 3 feet wide. So it's going to go right over here in the spot. So stay tuned for that, and we'll give you guys an update. Now we'll go head back to the miniature orchard, and I gave you guys a view from up above. This is a rock garden bed that my husband put together. Columbine flowers. Some irises, they already bloomed. I believe these are some lilies. There's a water fountain. It's not on right now, but it's really pretty here in the summer. And some more plants. I think that's black grass. I can't remember what this is. Some little juniper. Here is that mountain laurel that I showed you from up above. The flowers are so pretty. I have never seen this tree anywhere else. So the old owner planted a lot of these plants in here, so they've been established. This one is foxglove or digitalis. I hope I said that correctly. Anyways, this plant is very poisonous, so keep your pets and children away from this plant. Beautiful roses here. These smell so good. Over here are the huge rhubarb plants. This, I believe, is the Victorian variety. So we have 2 huge patches. I think it expands about 6 feet across. We've had this plant for over 8 years now. And there are a lot of crowns in there, so you can divide rhubarb by the crowns. They grow quicker that way instead of starting them from seed. In between the rhubarb plants, we have a dwarf blackberry bush. This is called baby cakes. This grows to about 4 feet tall and about 4 feet around. So it dies back in the winter and it comes back, also puts out some new shoots. And I also have a hardy citrus fruit tree. This is still pretty small. It's only about a little bit over 2 feet tall. It is called yuzu citrus. So it's supposed to be hardy down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And I put this in the ground last season and it survived the snow. But look at all those thorns. Look how long they are. They're over an inch long. And around these plants, I have some small blueberry shrubs, blueberry glaze, and they are a dwarf type, more like a wild blueberry. They'll grow to about a foot tall, but you can plant these as hedges or in containers. So I moved a couple of the blueberry plants here. This is the top hat variety, which is a small compact shrub. It grows to about 24 inches at the most. And cannot remember what this variety is, but it's a young blueberry plant. But it has some berries on it though. Here is the row of blueberries. These two are called Spartan. We just got this a year ago, so I don't expect fruit until the 3rd or 4th year at least. When you're growing blueberries, you want to establish the plant, pinch off all those flowers the first 2 years, and by the 3rd or 4th year, they'll start producing for you. This one is Blue Jay, and it is loaded with green berries right now. So this one we've had for at least, I believe, 6 years now. And this one I believe is Chippewa or Chippewa. Not sure if I said that correctly. So this we've had for about, I think, 4 or 5 years. And this one here is called Duke. Also have some fruits on that. Now, unfortunately, our apple trees and pear tree are not doing well. We had some flowers, then they fell off. We had this late freeze. So no apples this year. So this is that 5-way pear tree. It was full of blossoms and they just all fell off as well. So very unfortunate. Really bummed about that, but that's okay. Hopefully next year will be better. Okay, so let's head back to the garden, the backyard. These are some hostas. I believe those are lupin, columbine, and a couple of lilies. So I'm just going to go ahead and just name all the plants as I walk by them. This is chocolate berry or Himalayan honeysuckle. So remember this, guys? Our friends gave this to us almost 2 summers ago. Oh, there's a bee. So this is already full of flowers. And the berries taste between burnt caramel and coffee. So it's pretty distinct flavor, but it's very prolific. They will spread, so it's a good idea to keep it contained. There are some new growths right there. See those? So they just put out these new shoots or suckers, so you can divide them up. So I think it's best to keep this contained, so that way it doesn't take a section of your garden. Over in this box is supposed to be the 3 sisters, which is corn, squash, and beans. But the squirrels just keep digging up the seeds. So I sowed the seeds about 3 weeks ago now. And you can see all those holes right there. They just keep digging them up. So I just keep sowing. And finally, they are starting to sprout. I actually ended up sowing the seeds at the same time because I knew that I would have this problem with the squirrels. So keep my fingers crossed. Over to my right are some herbs, lemon balm. I think that's a chrysanthemum flowers, rosemary, French lavender here, Bergarten sage. So I'm letting this one bloom. It's on its 2nd year. I got this about a year ago and it's doing really well. Such a beautiful sage plant. Lemon thyme, English thyme. Another garden box for the 3 sisters, so stay tuned for that. I'm actually working on a video. And over here is the 1,000 head kale. Remember those huge leaves that I shared with you guys last season? So it's called the 1,000 head kale. So hopefully I'll get tons of seeds as long as they don't all fall to the ground. So I'll harvest these as soon as possible, and hopefully I can share them with you guys. And some seedlings here. I believe these are some kale and purple top turnips. So I'm going to circle around to the left again. These are the fig trees I'm growing in containers. I've got some Desert King and honey figs in containers. These pots are about 22 gallons each. And we are on our second season, so we got these about a year ago. So they're still pretty young, so I did not expect any fruit until the 3rd or 4th year. This is the lavender topiary I got last year. So pretty. And they put some alazum in there, but the bees are loving this. And these are the garden boxes that we saw from up above. A couple of trees. This is the espalier apple tree that I still need to plant in the ground or in a bigger pot. Unfortunately, it did not flower this year. There's that pear tree, potted plants, another fig tree. Lettuces are doing really well. I usually harvest it with a come and cut again harvest by harvesting the outer leaves first. So I just let them keep growing, and by the time the summer heat sets in, I'll be harvesting the whole heads. So strawberries, some spinach, got some newer spinach in there. I actually sowed some new seeds, so that way we have a succession harvest or continual harvest. Again, I've interplanted some shallots in there. There are also some volunteer garlic in this garden bed. And here is that little herb garden container that I featured on one of the videos, that DIY herb garden. Look how much it has filled out already. So let's head over here and I'll show you what's growing in the pots. Got some flowers in here. Those are spring onions with flower stalks. Sun gold tomatoes in 15-gallon pots. I planted the indeterminate tomatoes in the 15-gallon containers. So this one is called Bloody Butcher. Another sun gold. And back here I've got the apple tree that I planted, as well as the plum tree. This apple tree is the extra dwarf, so it'll be about 5 to 6 feet tall. This is semi-dwarf, so that will need to go in a bigger container in a year or two. This one is a patio tomato, so it's a determinate type. I've got it growing in a 10-gallon container. This one will get to about 3 to 4 feet tall, so it'll produce one flush of fruit in a course of about 2 weeks. Got some dahlia sprouting. This is fuchsia. I love this variant. It is so pretty. I cannot remember the name of that variant. Meyer lemon. So had an issue with bugs and a lot of the leaves fell off, so hopefully it'll start to grow again this summer. But it's a pretty small plant. I've got it in I believe it's a 3 to 4 gallon pot, so I should be transplanting that in a bigger container this year. And over here are some random stuff. I've got some bay leaf cuttings and some rosemary cuttings that I'm rooting. And over here is that pineapple top that I started 3 years ago from a pineapple top, and it grew into a plant. So I think I'll be getting a fruit this year. Hopefully. We'll see what happens. I've had people tell me that if I put a rotten apple in the middle, that it'll promote it to fruit. So would love to know if you guys have done that before and what the results are. This one here is a hibiscus plant. It is hardy to my zone. I'm in zone 8B. These are Jerusalem artichokes. So these are grown for the tubers, and it's part of the sunflower family. So the tubers are edible and you can prepare them like potatoes. These are mustard greens. It looks like it's about to go to seed. I planted some cucumber seeds in there. It looks like it's starting to sprout. Some dwarf tomatoes in pots. This one is jasmine that my mother just gave me. So excited to plant this in the garden. Love jasmine. And this is, let's see, sunflowers and beans. There might be some squash in there. The kids planted these. So I'll start with the herbs first. That's oregano. Let's see, lemon balm, lavender, lemon balm again, oregano, and more lemon balm. And these are peas on the trellis. Actually, I planted them on the other side, except they creeped through the cow panel. But we planted some cucumbers here, and they're not looking too well. I think the slugs have been munching on them. So over on the walkway on both sides are some strawberries. So hopefully we get some this year and the rabbits and squirrels don't eat them before us. So also companion planted them with marigolds, chives, and Corsican mint. This is a ground cover, guys, but it smells so good. So the Corsican mint is new. I just planted these about a month ago. Got these small little patches from my mom's yard. So it's going to be a really pretty ground cover and it'll make our garden smell better. Now the reason why I planted the chives and the marigold is it's supposed to help deter pests. So they make great companion plants with the strawberries. And over in the pots are some more dwarf tomatoes. And the strawberries kind of continues on behind the herbs there. Another dwarf tomato, more herbs, rosemary, sage, chocolate mint in a pot, some more strawberries in pots. These are my extra strawberry plants that I've been meaning to give away to whoever wants them. And I think that's basil. I think I've got some lemon verbena in that pot over there. Got some more herbs in pots, Italian flat leaf, curly parsley, cilantro that's about to go to seed. It is about 3 feet tall right now. This is orange mint. It is so pretty and I love the smell of this one. And got some chives. Remember I divided those chives, guys, so they multiply. You can divide them once a year in the spring or fall. So this is pretty much a lot of perennial plants, so I'll go through it. But I also have some annuals in there as well. Those are cilantro seedlings. I believe this one's lemon verbena. That's supposed to be hardy in my zone, so it's a perennial plant. A new lemon thyme, basil. And I've got a small blueberry plant. This is called Perpetua, so it bears fruit in the summer and again in the fall. I skipped this one, but this is pineapple sage and it came back this year. So it's supposed to be an annual plant in our climate, but it came back. I actually mulched it with wood chips last year, so I think that helped. These are red-veined sorrel. It's a perennial herb, but it is eaten or used like a green. And it is hardy, I believe, to zone 5 or 6. So this is a great crop to add to your perennial garden. More chives. This one is bay leaf. Look at that. I've had this, I think, going on the 3rd season. This was started from a cutting about 3 years ago that my mom started from her bay leaf tree, and it has gotten so big. It's about 3 feet tall. I actually had to prune it, and about 2 feet wide. So such a beautiful evergreen tree, and it's so convenient to have this that you can use for your cooking. This little container are some carnivorous plants. Those are the kids' plants. Allium. And I sowed some, I believe, some bok choy back here and tatsoi seeds. So they're starting to emerge. Red giant mustard, sweet chervil or sweet Sicily, another perennial herb. And back here, this is a goji berry, which I'll be relocating. I actually buried the pot, see, for now until I find a permanent home. But I kept it in the pot because it's supposed to spread, so I don't want to spread throughout the garden. But it is near this fig tree that our friend gave to us, so I'll be moving this goji berry this fall. More perennials. These are, I believe, purple tree collards and merit tree collards. And if you're interested in these were started from cuttings. I will leave the links below. So I'm going to walk back on this side now to the left. This is a patch of cilantro. Those are the raspberry growing along the trellis. There are tons of fruits. The bees have been very busy pollinating the flowers. And over here, I'm gonna back up a little bit here. I'm sure you've seen all the garlic plants. So we planted some elephant garlic. Some of them actually come back every year because I let the garlic corms, which are the garlic seed, stay in the ground. And so by its 2nd season, they mature into robust, big elephant garlic. So they are actually a perennial plant. Garlic is a perennial plant, but we grow them as annuals. But if you leave them in the ground, they will grow back every year and you can divide up the cloves. So I also interplanted some kale. So I like planting the garlic next to the kale because it actually helps deter or repel insect pests. And every time I plant the kale near the garlic, we have less problems with insect pests, even with aphids. So we'll see what happens this year. Sometimes it's just hit and miss, but so far the kale plants are doing really great. They're looking beautiful, except the rabbit has been eating, or rabbits have been coming in our garden. Look at that, eating the kale. This one doesn't even have any leaves anymore. But the ones that are planted right in between the garlic plants were not touched by the rabbits. So maybe the garlic deterred the rabbits from eating the kale planted next to them. Who knows? You guys, check this out. I just saw this dragonfly. Look how beautiful that is. Again, these are elephant garlic planted along with some hardneck garlic. More kale in between. Here is a young pepper plant, blueberry, that's another bell pepper plant, onions, along with some arugula that are going to seed. And I believe these are dwarf peas that we've been harvesting from. Raspberries, more raspberries on this trellis. And planted some, I believe some zucchini, looks like they are starting to sprout. Another blueberry plant. So this one was just planted early on this spring. It's called Blue Jay. So that's a really good variant. Some Allium giganteum flowers. So these are mainly for ornamental, guys. The Allium giganteum is not edible. And remember the walking onions? I just featured this in that 3 perennial onions video. And more garlic right here in front of this garden bed. So now I'm going to go around on the other side of that bed, and I've got more garlic in here as well. And also planted them with some Swiss chard, rainbow chard, leaf lettuce. And I also sowed some more Swiss chard seeds about a month ago now. So this is called succession planting, guys. So you want to keep sowing the seeds throughout the season so you'll always have something to harvest. There are some petunias. These are, I believe, cone flowers, great for attracting pollinators. I also have some lettuce seedlings. These were sown about, I believe, maybe going on 4 weeks. So these were started from seeds, and I believe it's black-seeded Simpson and price-head lettuce. As you can see, we love growing garlic. And remember to remove those scapes as they pop up, guys, and eat them. They are delicious. I almost missed this one. So this bed has onions. I've got some red and yellow onions planted in there. Also in between are some Swiss chard, arugula seedlings. Love growing arugula. I think it's arugula roquette, which grows really fast. You can harvest within a month. Some spinach seedlings. Again, succession planting, guys. And more arugula that I let flower and go to seed because I could not find arugula seeds. Remember when all the online stores ran out of seeds and I could not find arugula seeds, and someone was selling a packet for about $7 and I will not pay that much for seeds. And that's why I let some of our plants go to seed this year, so I don't have to worry about seed shortage. Can you believe that, guys? Anyways, if you guys can, let a plant or two go to seed so that way you have something just in case. So I got all these covered, also down towards the miniature orchard. So now we're going to head towards the greenhouse. So these pepper plants are having some fungus issues, so I had to put them in their own section here for now until I spray an antifungal spray. Would love to know what you guys are using. I have neem oil on hand, so I just noticed that it's got these black spots on them. So hopefully they'll be okay. We've been getting a lot of rain, so a lot of moisture in the air and pretty humid. And there are the chickens. These are the younger chicks. So they're about, I think, oh my gosh, we got them in April. So they're about a couple of months old now, and our 2 older hens. So when these 4 mature, we'll put them all together and they'll have all this space. This is their chicken run, so they have a lot of space in there. I think each one, or this one is about 8 feet long, 4 feet wide. This is about maybe, yeah, 4.5 feet wide and about 7 feet long. And the top is covered with some cow panels so that the predators can't get to them. Okay, last part here, it's starting to get dark. So over here are some potatoes in pots, also some in this garden box. This garden box is at least 5 feet wide and I believe 8 to 9 feet long. If you're building a garden box, I would not build it this wide. Remember, this was 8 years ago, and so the narrower the better, about 3 to 4 feet at the most. That way you don't have to go in there and step on the soil and compact it when you're harvesting or picking stuff. So over here are some young dinosaur kale or lacinato kale. This is a columbine plant with purple flowers that's just randomly grew in there, probably from seeds flying in the air. Some potatoes, and I believe I'm going to be sowing some beans along the side here so that way it can climb the trellis. And I've got some flower baskets and potato plants in 30-gallon pots or fabric pots. Over to the left are some more potatoes in 15-gallon pots. Some are in 5-gallon pots, which are going to be harvested as baby potatoes or new potatoes. So a lot of these things are some younger plants. It's almost like my little nursery back here. And over in this old garden box is my compost pile. Down here, some pepper seedlings. So I just pruned these back about a week and a half ago. Stay tuned for that video, guys. It's starting to grow back, or it's starting to branch out. Some eggplants that started from seeds. Looks like something's eating it though. And these are some blueberry cuttings I'm hoping to root and propagate. These are some of the winter sown tomatoes, so they aren't looking too good right now. I've had a lot of issues with bugs, but hopefully they make it and I'll get them transplanted as soon as possible. More plants. You know, when you're a gardener, you can never have too many plants, right? That's what my mom tells me. Anyways, I do plant extras because I like to share. So sometimes I propagate them as well. This is chocolate mint, strawberries in pots. Just trying to find them a new home because I don't like killing plants. So if someone can use them, I will give them. I believe these are, oh gosh, the mandarin seedlings that my mom started about 2 years ago from seeds. And I threw these two back. I'm trying to grow them like topiary. So we'll see what happens, but I need to get them transplanted into bigger containers. Coffee plants, I'm not sure what's going on. So these were overwintered and I just brought them outdoors about a month ago. So I slowly acclimated them for the summertime and then I'll bring them back indoors again. This is that bell pepper plant I overwintered. It's not looking so well. I need to pot it up again. So hopefully I can revive that. And this is a jalapeno that I overwintered. And as you can see, the pepper's already ripening, but look how puny this is. This needs to be potted up in a bigger container with some fresh soil and compost. I think this has a chance to do well again, but we'll see. But look at that. This puny little plant produced these 2 peppers. These are more purple tree collard and merit tree collard cuttings. These are again the perennial collard plants, collard greens. And over here is a hardy hibiscus starting to emerge, dinosaur kale seedlings, more flowers. I think that's dahlia. Oh, it's blurry, sorry about that. And I've got some mint and raspberry canes that I pulled out that I'm going to plant somewhere else. And there's the greenhouse. There's nothing in there, just a lot of junk. Another pot. There's a 30-gallon container of potatoes and then our compost tumblers. So that's pretty much it, guys. So we'll just walk back here. So a lot going on and it does keep me busy while I haven't had a chance to do this garden tour with you guys, but I'm so glad that I finally got to do it again. So we'll just do a quick walk one more time and then I'll get going. And back to the miniature orchard. I'll try to do more garden tours from now on since I've got pretty much things in order and established. So stay tuned and we'll do another one soon. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed the tour and keep growing food, guys, and start out small. That was actually a good lesson for me to learn, as it can get pretty overwhelming. You can always add more plants later. It took us 8 years to get to where we are, and we're still working in the garden and in the yard. So it just takes time to build it up, but you'll get there. And I would also love to hear from you guys. How is your garden coming along? Leave a comment down below. Thanks again for joining me today, everyone. Have a wonderful day and happy gardening.